What motivated you to pursue a career in medicine and specifically missionary medicine?
When I was a teenager, my mother had pretty serious chronic illness, and I saw her suffering and had compassion for her. And I think that gave me a mindset. I grew up on a farm, and I didn't really think I could be a doctor. I didn't think that, but I wondered about veterinarian science. But when I went off to college, my friends that I met there were preparing to go to medical school. And so I thought, well, you never know unless you try. So I focused on the curriculum of pre-med in my last 2 years of college. And I was blessed with a good advisor in college, and I was very fortunate to get admission to a medical school in Philadelphia. So it kind of grew in steps. I didn't set out early in life thinking I really want to be a doctor. It grew out of my life experience and circumstances. And after I became a doctor, I was drafted for a service for our country. But my faith background is a pacifist position, non-resistance, and our faith heritage is of the Anabaptist type. So at that time, I had the choice, did not choose military service. We could explore non-military service, but I had to do one or the other. So I was drafted, and I sought a number of options here in the United States, and those doors just didn't open for me. But the one door that kept opening was when I went to our mission agency. They had heard just recently at that time about the Nazareth Hospital, and that the superintendent then was Dr. John Tester, who was from UK. And he came to the United States to learn more about who the Mennonites are. That's our church background. And so he visited the organization, the mission board, and he was very favorably received, as well as after his visit, he said that if the mission board was willing to choose someone, whoever was acceptable to them, he would accept at Nazareth. We did not know very much about the Nazareth Hospital. My wife and I, we were married 1 year, and we had no overseas experience. So we went there as not knowing Arabic and new culture, and our son was a year old when we left. So it was it was a step in faith.
Nice. And was your son okay with such a long trip on the boat?
Well, he was 14 months old, so we had to keep pretty close tabs on him when we were out on the decks, so that he didn't climb up in the rail. So we had a little harness on him.
Yeah.
It was a cultural experience for us.
And how did your faith impact your work at the hospital in Nazareth?
Yeah, that's a very, very good question. We went as learners because we realized that this was a new culture, and we came to value and appreciate the ancient churches of the Middle East. And our faith is, I would say, more expressed in deeds than in words, but both are important. And we kind of learned from the people that were there as to, for example, it was the custom to begin the day with prayers on the ward, and we participated in that. we did not go to start a new church or to start a Mennonite church, but to join with Christians who were from the land and join in fellowship with them and to support what was there. And of course, it was a privilege to be in a healing ministry where the life of Jesus and to look at how he went about healing and receiving people. And so my faith, my wife's faith, developed in new and meaningful ways as a result of relating to the Christians in Nazareth. It was a wonderful thing to be united in our work and purpose.
And what would you say makes the Nazareth Hospital special or different from other hospitals in Israel?
Well, to be honest with you, it's Jesus makes a difference. From my viewpoint, the compassion, the love, and the caring that he demonstrated. That's not to say it's not found in the other faiths, but our goal is to be a reconciling presence. And it's so easy to become partisan, but that's not what we're to do. We're to be available and open for all people. I think one of the main contributions that happened during our time was when my wife, Nancy, was invited to begin a nursing curriculum that met Israeli standards. And the School of Nursing has just flourished and blossomed beyond what we really could have imagined.
And how did you cope with the language, like the linguistic challenges, while communicating with patients and your colleagues at the hospital?
Yes, that's a very, very, very good question. During our first term of service for 3 years, I worked closely with nurses who had a pretty good grasp of English.
Okay.
And so they would basically, along with their helping me in their profession, also help me with the language. And I would learn the meaning of new words just on the job, taking histories. Yeah. So I focused on that when we went back for the second term in 1981. We studied Arabic for about 5 months.
Okay.
Full time. And we had certainly helped me in taking patient histories. But then when I went back as hospital manager, I said, oh my goodness, I just knew that by then Hebrew was introduced a lot into the hospital. For that fall, I concentrated on trying to learn Hebrew. And so in Israel, the language for new immigrants, they have schools called Olpans. And so I attended an Olpan in what's called Upper Nazareth or Nazareth Elite, which is predominantly Jewish. We were taught only in Hebrew. And oh my goodness, what I discovered that every time I tried to come up or remember a new Hebrew word, or I wanted to express something in non-English, the Arabic words would come up, and so my mind could not handle trying to be trilingual. And I tell you, that's one of the things that my wife and I truly respect, the ability of people of the Middle East, Israel, Palestine, to work in several languages. And I can remember my wife's heartfelt desire for the students to be able to learn nursing in their own language.
Yeah, so now, of course, this year we're all about the 160th anniversary. Like when you think about, how long this has been standing, what thoughts or feelings come to mind?
God's faithfulness.
Mm-hmm.
And also the sacrifices that the people have made over the 160 years.
And yeah, in 1996, you were invited to go to Washington to receive the Order of the British Empire. Can you tell me a bit what was that award for?
Actually, it's an award that's been given to several previous general administrators. Dr. Bathgate,
Yeah.
Dr. Tester
Mm-hmm.
received it. Dr. Bernat.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's a bit unusual for a non-British citizen to receive the award. So I think maybe in that regard, Dr. Bernat and being Swiss and by being Americans. I think that it's a civilian award.
Okay.
In the UK, the civilian service that was in the interest of humanity, and particularly something that the UK is affiliated with. So during the Gulf War in 1991,
yeah,
as in the previous wars when we were there, the American embassy asked us to leave the country for our family's safety.
Yeah.
And we didn't. We stayed in the 6-Day War. And in the Gulf War, since I was the general director, this was a tremendous time of stress. We're not sure that we were going to, with all the preparation and the talk about chemical weapons and prepare the hospital for a chemical attack. It's all very, very, very stressful. And but I think it was a gift that God gave us of peace and assurance that we were to stay and to trust and not be afraid. And so we've on at least probably 2 occasions, the British ambassador to Israel came to the hospital in the weeks leading up to the war to discuss things with us and to just offer support.
Okay.
And I would imagine that had something to do with their giving the award. Although my name is on it, it's an award that rightfully goes to my wife as well. She stood by me. I was very surprised. I had been away at a conference, and I got this telephone call from the British Embassy in New York, saying congratulations. And I said, for what? They said, the Queen is awarding you the OBE. I said, why? And they said, well, I said, I didn't think I deserved that. They said, well, according to the documentation that they have, that they thought I did.
How did you decide to set up the Memorial Scholarship Fund for the School of Nursing?
Well, yeah, my wife was diagnosed with cancer of the pancreas 2 years ago today. And she died 5 months later. And it was the idea came up from our son. He suggested that maybe a way to mom's memory to set up a scholarship on it. So he approached the Nazareth Project USA, and they had some telephone conversations, and that led to setting up the scholarship fund about a year ago or so. And that's that will go. Candidates will be chosen in Nazareth by the school faculty and director according to, one, financial need, and two, according to scholarship. Some will get some help just on the basis of their scholastic ability, and some would get the help just based on need.
Do you think we have missed anything important? Do you feel like you want to add something that we haven't talked about?
Maria, there's a thought that comes to me that I think is very, very important, and something that as a communicator and writer, you should keep first and foremost in your mind. And that is, we think of the work of Nazareth as being the work of expatriate persons. And we don't give adequate recognition and recognition to the role of the local staff, who, without them, there wouldn't be a hospital, and who have been faithful servants. The one who really did a lot to get the local staff on board in an administrative way, at least in my time, was Dr. Bashara, Dr. Bashara. But in the specialties, there are other names that one could give, but just to highlight the tremendous importance of local talent, both doctors, nurses, maintenance staff. I mean, they're tremendously important. I mean, for example, you can't have a hospital without having a reliable and give good service without a reliable laboratory service. And that was all set up and run by Mr. Abdu for 30 or 40 years.
Nice. And like, maybe to just wrap it up, like how do you like to imagine the future of the hospital and the Nazareth Trust?
I think the basics of skills and faith in the current leadership there, in my estimation, give it a bright future. So pleased that the spiritual aspect of the work is being emphasized and recognized and being strengthened under current administration.
Thank you so much.
Very, very kind. Yeah, I appreciate that.
No worries.
Okay.
Okay, have a nice day.
Okay. I will. You too.
Bye-bye.
It's evening for you, isn't it?
It's 4 p.m. Yeah.
4 p.m. Good.
Yeah.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.